Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a review of Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix by Julie C. Dow. This is the sequel to Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. You can read this without reading the first book, but I would definitely recommend reading Forest of a Thousand Lanterns. Partly because, there's all sorts of callbacks and references to it, and it provides a lot of context for some of the stuff in this book, but mostly because it's just a really good book. I will say I didn't enjoy this one as much as Forest of a Thousand Lanterns, which is not to say this is bad. I very much enjoyed this one still, but Forest of a Thousand Lanterns was amazing. That book is, so these two books are basically an East Asian flavored version of Snow White. Much more of an adventure story than the Snow White, but that's sort of the base inspiration for these books. Forest is the evil stepmother's origin story, and really good. Villain origin stories are, generally pretty compelling to begin with, but yeah, that one is particularly good. Anyway, enough about this one. That one. Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix is about Princess Jade, the daughter of the former Empress, Empress Lihua. She is the rightful heir to the throne. I should mention, the book takes place in a fantasy world by the name of Fang Lu. And for the record, there's a pronunciation guide. So I'm making use of that. Anyway, so yeah. Jade is the rightful heir of the throne of the Great Forest. Okay, so yeah. Fenglu is basically split into 5 kingdoms. There's the Forest, which is just called the Kingdom of the Great Forest. There's Komatsu, which is the Kingdom of the Boundless Sea. Suor-Jalana, Kingdom of the Shifting Sands. Dagovad, Kingdom of the Four Winds. And the Kingdom of the Sacred Grasslands, which doesn't get a fancy name. So yeah, so the Great Forest is ruling over all the other kingdoms at the moment when this story starts. Jade is the rightful heir to the throne of the Great Forest, but she lived her life. She was raised in a monastery. She was sent away as a child by Zhifeng, her stepmother, the current empress. So she grew up in a monastery, which gave her an appreciation for hard work and modesty and, all those good values. And humility as well. She's very humble. She doesn't really have any desire for power. On the eve of her 18th birthday, or as a little before her 18th birthday, Jade is summoned back to the capital by Shifeng, and on her way there, Jade sees that conditions in the kingdom are pretty miserable. lot of people going hungry. There's people going missing. There's riots and strikes and just the kingdom is in generally bad condition, generally bad shape, because that's what happens when there's a corrupt ruler on the throne. And Jade comes to realize that the only way to fix the world, to improve the condition the people are in, is to take the throne herself. Which is obvious wrong, because that would mean first taking down Shi Feng, who is extremely smart and extremely dangerous. So ultimately, she goes on an adventure to collect some relics to summon the Dragon Guard, sort of semi-mythical warriors who are supposed to come when the world is at its darkest. She's joined by a girl named Ren and a man by the name of Koichi. Koichi is the son of an ambassador who used to be a very close friend of Shi Feng when she was younger, before she became empress. And they both have dwarfism, so they're both very short. So Koichi is very short. I think he's actually even shorter than Jade. Wen is just sort of kind of a badass, or Ren, sorry. Ren is just kind of a badass. She's a woman who just is interested in taking shit and who wants to go on adventures, who wants to be a soldier. So Jade is accompanied by those two on her adventures, and she goes through various trials and dangers. The Serpent God, who is allied with Shi Feng, is trying to stop her all the while. She gets continuously chased by Shi Feng's huntsman, eunuch by the name of Kong. And there's just all sorts of magical stuff that goes on. One place where this book does surpass Forest is world building. Obviously, the world was built in Forest, but this one goes into a lot of detail about history, mythology, folklore and fables, which play a huge role in this one. And just working to expand the world that we get to see, essentially. So it does that very well. And the story itself is, it's plotted very well. It moves along at a steady pace. The challenges that Jade has to overcome are very clever and really interesting. Dao is great at infusing scenes with tension, but she can also infuse them with other emotions as needed. fear and love, friendship. And yeah, it's really good. There's a lot of really compelling characters that are encountered, some of whom are uh, brought from the original, from the first book. Some of them recur from the first book. Jade herself is a pretty okay protagonist. She does have the. She does maybe suffer a little bit from being too good, too pure. Uh, we do get to see moments of her being angry, which are really good, and a lot of moments of her being afraid. A big part of this book is a big part of her journey is learning to conquer her fears. Um, Another part is learning to let her friends help her. But yeah, for my part, for my taste, the deeply complicated Shi Feng, her journey in forest, I found her a much more compelling protagonist than the almost too good Jade. She's just, yeah, like I said, she's just too pure of heart, too humble, too noble, and all that. Which, obviously that's what you want in a ruler, but it kind of makes for a little bit less compelling a protagonist. I thought. Regardless, she's still she's still good. She's still a good protagonist. She's still got plenty of enjoyable moments, plenty of enjoyable interactions with other characters. Uh, Dao's uh, prose is gorgeous. Like, she is just fantastic writer. Just absolutely beautiful prose in a lot of places. She is definitely a writer to keep an eye out for. Just because, like I said, she is real good. She is real good at what she does. The parts where if you may not, even if I may not have been keen on, certain parts in terms of, plot or in terms of character or whatever, I still enjoyed reading those parts because Dao just wrote the hell out of them. And yeah, there were just a lot of there's just a lot of great stuff in here. So yeah, I highly recommend both of these books. Again, I'd recommend reading Forest of a Thousand Lanterns first, just to give more context to the events of Kingdom of the Blazing Phoenix, and also because Forest of a Thousand Lanterns is just an absolutely incredible book. One of my favorites. Um, yeah, it's good. Read. Read it. And that's all I've got for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.